Geographically. Geographically. This is cool. So I would say make sure that pretty face is showing.
Yes, true.
They're going to want to see that fucking thing. They're going to want to see that fucking thing, Alan. That fucking face. You good? Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We have a very special guest today who, as always, we have a cool story about how we met. We were at the gym in Worcester, and there was this gentleman that was doing boxing drills and hitting the punching bag. And anybody who knows me knows that when I see a punching bag moving, I have to go see it and tend to it. And the gentleman was Omar. We started talking, and next thing you know, thoughts become things, and Omar is here with us today.
What's going on, guys? So met Kevin's pretty face in the gym, and Call of Duty was, hey, let's see if we can hammer some punches in, crank them out, hit each other.
Yes.
And I just kind of met him, saw that we were on the same mindset, and it's just been great since then.
Love it.
And you met him for the first time in length today.
Officially.
Yes.
And he's definitely not your average 18-year-old.
Joe.
Yeah.
18-year-old Joe.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Right.
So one thing I was impressed with right away is you came right up to me in the gym and you were like, hey, I love your stuff. Like, how's it going? So two things. Number one, you had the confidence to come up to me, someone you had never met in person, which is awesome because sometimes people are intimidated. And number two is you complimented me right away. I have this 30-second rule. I say pay a genuine compliment right away. People remember that and never underestimate the power of a genuine compliment. And you did both. I was very impressed.
For 18 years old, next level.
Next level.
Next level. And I think it's super important for those younger viewers and even those viewers that might be a little older that age really is just a number. You can make your mind whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Whatever you want. So what initially got you into the growth mindset, into bettering yourself?
So when people say, age is just a number, obviously, that's kind of something looked at as cliche, but I've really never recognized my age, and a lot of people have always said, like, oh, you're older than you act or whatever, but I've always looked towards older people as my mentors, and I've always just sought out great people, great connections, and those have just helped me become who I am today, and I really just want to actualize my vision and share that same vision with specific people. And so it all started when I started my fitness journey. When I was 12 years old, I saw this huge guy, had huge arms, and I was like, dang, I want that.
Yeah.
I look cool. And so I was like, when can I start lifting? And he was like, oh, wait till you're 13 or whatever. I was too eager. I got in the gym, started going after it. And, 6 years later, I'm 18, stuck with it all the way, consistent. And I realized that, fitness is not just lifting weights up and down. It really comes down to helping people. And I've kind of aimed to direct my knowledge into bettering people's lives. And it starts with fitness almost. So, that's where self-development for me started from that physical root. And now it's just been growing into mental, financial, etc.
Love it.
Next level.
Yeah.
Next level. I feel like you guys connect a lot on the fitness aspect.
Mm.
Yeah, I think fitness is, people see us, again, I say this all the time, taking selfies, being in the gym. I always make that joke. It's like, if you went to the gym and you didn't take a photo, like, did you ever go? But the real reason why I do that isn't to be egocentric or anything like that. And it may appear that way from an outside perspective, but really what I'm trying to show is consistency.
Right. And
I always say we're not in here just sculpting bodies, we're sculpting our character. And one of the things that I think is most important about physical fitness, and I'm speaking about this on Saturday in Boston, is focus. I think we live in a world of tons of distractions. We all have what I call shiny object syndrome. We have a weapon of mass distraction in our pockets, the phone. And I think when you're under heavy weight, you have to learn how to focus because otherwise you will get hurt. And so for me, physical fitness really helped me take control of my mind. And I like to consider this, and I started saying this, this podcast I think is the gym for your mind.
Right.
It'll help you expand your mind, which will then translate to more workouts and a better body as well. So I think that personal development is kind of a catalyst that often sparks from fitness. Is that what happened for you? You think?
Yeah, fitness was definitely the catalyst, like you're saying. It really just started with realizing I'm chiseling away at my body, but then it became something as, I'm going to the gym as a meditative release, as something that it almost made me sane. And what I learned in the gym was really I was kind of going in depth with my mind when I was in the gym. It wasn't just, like I said, picking things up and down. And it taught me that focus, that discipline, that consistency that you need in everyday life.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're, starting on your own career path, as I did with entrepreneurship last year, it became something that had to be consistent. There wasn't any time for slacking. Everything was now, just like the gym.
Yeah.
So just like nutrition is,
We had a lot of... So for those who saw the Snapchat videos, Omar and I were sparring, and in this dope-ass setup that we have here in the gym as opposed to the studio setup we usually have, we were talking about all sorts of different things. And one of the questions I asked you is, why do you think... So between the ages of 10 and 24, the number 2 cause of death is suicide. I read that on a website the other day.
Yeah.
On a Facebook post about some young lady who killed herself. She took her own life.
I'm assuming number 1 is vehicular accidents,
I don't know,
but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I should have researched that. But and I asked Omar, I said, why do you think that is? Because he's in that range more so than we are.
Yeah.
So, and do you remember what you said?
Yeah, so I was talking about comfort. I really, truly think that our comfort is so kind of, we're just bound to this sense that we have everything given towards us, so we have nothing to strive for. Like, for instance, as a teenager, a lot of kids, especially living in a rich, white neighborhood, whatever you want to call it, a lot of kids have been given what they want, so they really don't have to work for much, and they don't know what the struggle is like. And I think struggle builds character. So when you have comfort, you're not reaching out of your boundaries and kind of expanding yourself and building your mind. And so 1 in 6 people are on psychoactive medication. And I think that's crazy because...
In this country.
This country. Yeah. And I think that's crazy because it's really, we're using it now as a crutch rather than looking back at our habits, becoming self-aware, and realizing we need to change something with our habits rather than relying on something else to relieve it for us.
Yeah.
So,
see, I always say, like, if you have a headache, drink water before you take Advil. I always say that.
Yeah.
Because you can trick yourself into thinking you need to take an Advil every day
Yeah.
when you're just dehydrated.
And there's so much more benefits to drinking water that, like, if you were to... Like, let's say you have a headache, like Kevin just said. You have 2 options. You take an Advil, relieve the pain temporarily,
right,
but, basically trick yourself into staying the same.
Right.
Or you start saying, oh, okay, I'm not hydrating enough. Think about all the benefits of hydrating more, physically, mentally, emotionally.
Yeah.
Just being hydrated is incredible for your
in
body.
This case, hydration is
Speaking of that,
is the obvious sign indicating you need to do better.
Well, I mean,
about hydration.
Yeah, but in this instance, hydration is getting within your mind. Like, instead of taking the pill, you could just go to the I don't advise. Somebody asked me about taking. It was on the Q&A.
Yeah.
The Q&A, somebody said something about the doctor prescribed a medication or something.
Yep.
And I said, I don't like that route. That's just not, that's not my route. I'm also not clinically depressed to the point where I can't get out of bed without help.
Yeah.
But I feel like that you're going to rely on that.
Right.
You're going to continue to rely on that. And it's a fine line between I need this because it balances out my moods and my hormones and all of that, and I can do this on my own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it all starts with getting into your head first. If you don't, that's why you got to just figure out what you're thinking, why you're thinking what you're thinking, and how it's affecting your life.
Yeah.
And it's all about being conscious.
Yeah, I think it's being able to kind of not just so people like to say deter the bad thoughts and kind of keep them away from your head. I think it's really about accepting those bad thoughts. So, for instance, when you're depressed, you constantly have this lingering, voice in the back of your head saying, "Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't have this. Something's wrong with me." Whether it is, with your relationships, your family, that internal struggle is what builds you. And accepting that. And this isn't to sound like some hippy-dippy shit. This is really just understanding, okay, reframing your mind. For instance, I like this analogy where there's two golfers, okay? So first guy hits it straight into the bunker. Second guy, observing, he laughs at him and says, "Dude, you're a fool. You just hit it straight into the bunker." The golfer says, "Yeah, but I didn't get in the water. That was actually good." So he reframes his bad situation as
a good,
not really an obstacle,
yeah,
as something that he just has to overcome. It's just something that he has to deal with.
Right.
Yeah, rather than not swinging at all.
Right.
Yeah. The second golfer just doesn't even try, maybe?
The second golfer probably just fuckhead. He just missed totally. Probably got it in the water, honestly, just bad karma.
He just went up and hammered it.
Yeah.
So you're trying to reframe something negative in a positive way so that you can do something about it?
Right.
Huge.
Yeah. And I don't think it's necessarily just to say be happy. It's not that. It's trying. So once you find, I think, inner peace and being able to be present, it basically builds your character into someone who is willing to continue to take on obstacles rather than see those as problems, just seeing those as the ups and downs in life, because that's how life is. It's not one straight path.
Yeah.
There's going to be oscillations.
Yeah, progress is not linear. Right?
Yeah.
Like progress is not a straight line up. It's this.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the issue is when you quit.
Right.
Like when you quit, you just told yourself that you can't succeed in something.
Yeah.
When you quit something, it's going to be a lot easier to quit anything else.
Yeah. It's the easy way out.
Quitting becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Right.
You give yourself one reason to stay in, or you give yourself 5 reasons to get out. Like, give yourself a reason to stay in.
That's the other thing I was talking about. So comfort. Quitting is comfortable.
Yeah, in the moment, yeah.
Right. Staying in it to win it, that's hard. You have to you know that you have those future obstacles to accomplish. You are not willing to man up, grab your balls, and keep going.
Yeah.
So you quit.
I always say that having huge dreams, I think one of the main reasons people don't is because it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
And what I say is you got to have that vision. You talked about vision. We'll get into that. I want to know your specific vision. And I know that will evolve as you grow. Obviously, you're only 18, so your vision will continue to grow and evolve as you do. I always use the analogy, by the way, that vision is like, imagine trying to put a puzzle together when you can't see the cover. How are you going to put puzzle pieces down when you don't know? And those are your action items. Those are your tasks. Those are your projects. Those are your day-to-day life. Like, if you don't know what the vision is, then you don't know. It's going to be so much harder to build that puzzle when you don't have a picture of what you're trying to create. And so you're 18, and so obviously...
Fresh young meat.
Yes, exactly. But it's awesome that you're
stud
thinking
muffin.
a lot about the future. You also talk about, you mentioned the power of now and being in the moment. What is your vision, and where do you think that came from so that we can help other people who are younger, who maybe don't have as crystal clear of a idea of what they want? I always say unhappiness is not knowing what you want and killing yourself to get it.
Yes.
You're not going to hit a target you don't have. Go.
So what I like a lot is that I'm just gonna backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I met Alan, I realized how much we were alike without me even really knowing him, which was crazy because I was like, dude, this is what he's doing is exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I already see him as a mentor because he's ahead of me 11 years, right?
Yeah.
So he's a public speaker. He's helping people out with conversations, with his actions too. And that's really what it comes down to is I want my experience, my knowledge to benefit others into growing themselves just like I did from other people who I looked up to. So essentially, I'm an entrepreneur, started a digital marketing agency last year with a good group of guys, and our basic manifesto is just to be able to bring people into our circle and just develop them. It's more than just, making money at this point. It's really just being able to live with freedom. And now that I'm just kind of getting older, I'm realizing constantly chasing wealth isn't really that secret to happiness or inner peace, if you will. So I've just been kind of trying to learn more about how to stay sane along that path and kind of show others like, yo, fitness is what keeps you sane. Fitness is it's literally like my way of relief.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
You know, I'm having a long day. My mom's bitching at me. I go to the gym, lift weights.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah. I always say, take your pain, frustration, anger out on the weights, never on your loved ones.
Right.
Yep.
So, like you just said, like you have to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, there is a destination. There is a destination, but if that's the only thing you see, you're going to miss out on all the lessons, all the experiences, all the knowledge. Like, how much knowledge have we gained in the past 3 months just doing this?
I know.
How much knowledge have you gained when you,
Oh my God.
you know, when you said, oh, you know what, I'm going to learn how to do this.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, like, I understand you have to have, it's super important to have the vision, but it's also important to take a look at your surroundings on the way, because that's how you have fun.
Yep.
Money is not going to buy happiness. We've gone over this
sure.
a million times.
sure.
Yep.
If you're not happy, nothing given to you is going to make you happy. You got to figure out what's going on in here.
Yeah, those external materialistic things that you think you're going to have when money comes, that's just a patch on your character.
Yeah.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a cut that, you know, instead of it's a little paper cut, it's a freaking gushing wound, and you're just trying to patch it over and over.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really learning how to build calluses in your mind. And when you're going along that journey, like you said, enjoying it, learning how to enjoy it is one thing too. So
Love it.
Any suggestions on how to enjoy the
enjoy it.
grind, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to mention to people is if you are scared to put yourself out there in your own mind and say, I want this true north, this huge dream. I don't know if you've seen any of my speeches, but in one of my speeches, I have a formula. It's 3 parts.
Grabs.
Number 1 is hashtag true north. Number 2 is hashtag CANI ! Which stands for CANI, and a commitment to constant and never-ending improvement. And then the third one is never quit. We've got the never quit kid over here with it tattooed on his forearm. Not a coincidence that we linked up. And so the way I see it is if you have a true north and you know what your purpose is and what you're here to be and create and become, and you focus on constantly and never-endingly improving every day, and you never quit, the inevitable result is massive impact to change the world. So I think a lot of people don't have a true north, though. So you said that we learn a ton along the way. Mm-hmm. We've learned so much.
So much.
And the reason why, I always love to ask why, is because we've had to. We've had to learn that much to achieve our dreams and to achieve the level of impact we want to have in the world. So if you don't have big dreams, I think the place to start is to try to start creating them. And my suggestion to you is this. Don't be afraid of big dreams because they are overwhelming as F. Okay? They are. Every morning when you wake up, don't look up 100,000 stairs. It's overwhelming. Look at that next stair. Right. But you have to know that the top of the mountain is there, and then trust that as you evolve and grow, which you will, because you'll have to if you have big dreams.
Oh, yeah.
The dreams will grow and evolve, and it'll become more clear. You know, that next bend in the road is foggy. But when you take that turn, it's going to become clear, and then you'll know the next turn. And it's going to be difficult, like you said, and you got to enjoy the journey. But if you don't have big dreams, I think that's a huge mistake. You get one life, and who you become is going to be based on how high you're shooting, to be completely honest.
Yeah, so that foggy road, you're carrying one flashlight. Each skill, each obstacle, if you will, kind of adds another flashlight, and your beam gets further.
You can see
more bright.
Knowledge, I think, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I think the flashlight
Taking my job.
You
What am I
Dude,
here?
that's me. Nah, you can leave.
throwing jokes, dog.
You know?
Imagine like a flashlight that gets more powerful. Because the more, I read this by Jim Rohn, one of my favorite authors. You know Jim Rohn?
I don't.
Okay, so he's amazing. I'll send you some of his stuff. Sure. He says that the stronger your vocabulary, the more you can see. And what he means by that is we articulate the world around us to ourselves. We communicate it to ourselves via vocabulary. So the more distinctions you have, like for example, if you and I go to Alaska and we're hanging out with Eskimos,
With bears.
they have with bears, polar bears.
Yeah.
We might get eaten.
Let's do it.
I won't. I'm too fast. No.
No,
But
you're
like
cutting.
they have 12. They have 12 distinctions for snow. You and I have
Yeah.
yellow snow. Don't eat that. We have white snow.
Pow.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget about the POW.
What's
Pow,
pow?
pow, powder.
Powder.
Shred
Oh
the
yeah, we
knot.
got the powder. For they have 12 distinctions for snow.
Right.
They have, and so in that environment, they are more intelligent than us, and therefore more likely to survive. You know, us in Alaska, we're going to struggle. They're more intelligent in that arena. So what I always try to tell people is find your arena, become the most intelligent in that arena, and you'll succeed.
I like that you said you compared us to polar bears, which is crazy because you would never think that a polar bear is smarter than you. But then when you look at it, I mean, you compare it to like the people around you. Find people who are better than you at something. You were talking about the 33-33-33 rule.
Yes.
And
One
I
of my
love
favorite
that.
rules. Yeah, so good.
I think that everyone needs someone who is better than them. Once you don't have anyone who is better than you at something, you're comfortable. You're complacent.
Yep.
So I think a key to growth is obviously to find those people. Just network. Get out your comfort zone. Stop being an introvert.
Right? So
It
important.
might be
Go ahead.
hard and tough to say that, but, get
No,
out your comfort zone.
dude, we're all about. There's a lot of things that sound tough and they sound harsh, but that's just the fucking way it is.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We talked about that in the preamble.
Yeah, we I can sugarcoat whatever you want me to. I'll sugarcoat it, but it's not going to get through to you. It's not. You don't need to hear the sugarcoated version. You've been hearing it your whole fucking life.
Exactly.
You don't need to hear it. You're not going to hear it from me.
Yeah.
It's just not how I am.
I love it.
One thing that so we sat down with a couple, Pat and Nate, a couple of young guns. They're also 18 or 19 years old.
Yep.
And one of the things we talked about is finding your group of people and how hard it is at your age, especially where a lot of 18. Oh God, remember the Tide Pod thing?
Yes.
People are now snorting condoms up their nose and pulling them out of their mouth. This is a fucking thing. It's called the condom challenge.
Oh my God.
But, okay, so that's what other 18-year-olds are doing.
I mean, I did do the cinnamon challenge once.
That doesn't matter.
I love cinnamon, though. I gotta say.
That's different. You're not blowing condoms.
Yeah. Interesting.
No pun intended.
Interesting.
But you can find that. You probably found that on Snapchat.
But how, even like with family, even this is a lonely road if you're not around people who are doing what you're doing.
For sure.
So do you have either advice for people your age trying to find their tribe or trying to find their dream team, as we call it, or how do you not quit when somebody doesn't believe in you?
I think it's knowing that you're enough. And, I honestly, in my childhood, I was really independent because I, for one, never really had people, and I was bullied when I was younger. And, my parents didn't really understand me. And to this day, I still don't have a good connection with them. So I was always on my own. I was always seeking my alone time. And I found that, I never had someone to turn to. And what's crazy is nowadays there was some survey out there that said, the average person doesn't have anyone to turn to in a time of crisis. And now when I look back at it, I wish I had found those people earlier. So my advice would just be to, push yourself out your comfort zone and find those people. Find those people who you can grow with, because it becomes a mutual benefit once you can learn from someone and you can also teach them something.
I know.
So, when you're growing together, your power is just multiplied.
Oh, it is. It's a huge multiplier. I would say ships in the same harbor rise and fall together. Make sure you're in the right harbor with the right people. Make sure it's a rising one. It's huge, man. That's huge.
Yeah.
Getting around the right people is so much of the game. That's such a big part of the game, man.
Yeah, who you know is super important.
Yeah, and I also think with that ship analogy, you also got to be willing to row your own boat for a little bit. Because it is hard, and you're going to be on your own for a while, and you may lose those people due to whatever. But at the end of the day, are you willing to stick with it and not quit?
Never quit. Never quit. So we mentioned the law of 33%, so I want to bring that down to earth for people who don't know what that is. It basically means if you have a given thing, like let's say podcasting, for example, and I say this to Kevin, we're looking, for a mentor who is killing it in podcasting. Danielle Murr, she came on the show, and I remember telling Kevin, that's a mentor for audio. Yes. Her vocabulary is amazing. Level. She's next level. That was the first time that I think we were in a room where it was whoa, she's way better at this than us, which is awesome. Right. We get excited for that. It's the opposite. Your natural reaction is I'm not good enough. No. This is exciting.
Oh, yeah.
You now create an ally who you can learn from and grow from. So who are your mentors, and the top 33% is the part that I think most people miss, which is people 10, 20 years ahead of you. Mm-hmm. I have several self-made millionaire mentors, and the amount of value that they bring to my life, having done similar things to what I want to aspire to do, is huge. And then you have the people that you teach, that you mentor, that you train, that you help. Right. And then you have your dream team, which is the middle portion. What are each portions? And you don't need to use names necessarily, but like, what do they do? What have you designed?
So in my head, first of all, is I know that I suck at a lot of things, and I know that I need to get better. So I have this kind of system in place where I'm always, coincidentally, I'm always with people who are older than me, who are ahead in a sense in life, but obviously because they're older, they know more.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
There's some dumbasses out there. But anyways, I don't look at it. A lot of my friends are older than me, actually pretty much all of them. My whole team is older than me, and I learn a shit ton from them.
Love it.
So these 4 people, 5 including myself, bad math right there. That's why I'm.
Well, you did start the phrase with "I suck at a lot of
right?
things," so you're good.
So, anyways,
humility, love it, love it.
Trying to be humble out here.
Yep.
But so I got these people who got my back, I got theirs, but they're always teaching me stuff. And then that below 33% are the people in fitness who I can teach technique, discipline, who I can offer value to. Then the 33% on the same level are, let's say, the people who I lift with and don't really, we challenge each other, but there's no one who's better than the other. We're kind of canceling each other
team,
out.
Peak performance partners. Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Those are the ships in the harbor.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yes. Those are the same size ships.
Yeah, exactly. Love it. It's expanding on my analogies. I love it. I love it.
Man. I think.
And so the mentors.
Yeah. We're good? We're good here.
Yeah.
So we were talking, it can be super hard because this can be lonely. Yep. And we were talking today in the preamble about how loneliness now is becoming a giant health issue for people. Like, it's right up there with obesity. They're saying basically your emotions can create the same amount of pain as physical pain. Like within yourself.
Sure. Totally.
Why do you think that is? Like, why we are the most populated we have ever been.
Yeah.
It's the most easy it's ever been to reach out and talk to anybody in the world. Anybody in the world.
Yep.
And we're the most lonely we've ever been. Yeah.
That's a humdinger.
I think it's a lot of people trying to kind of escape their reality, and like we're very in our head type of people nowadays. And all right, so our average attention span is 7 seconds?
Dude, it's worse than that now.
Yeah, something crazy.
It's horrendous.
Yeah, something crazy. But so being able to kind of not get out of your head like the way you're thinking, but understand that you are not totally what your thoughts are. So your thoughts may be speaking negatively. You have to understand that this is an instrument. Our mind is something we should be able to use and then kind of put to rest sometimes.
Yes.
So being able to reach out to people and not have this egotistic, I'm better than you, or I don't want to be with you because you kind of put me down. I think being able to eliminate ego from the issue is something that humans in our society nowadays are having trouble with.
Yeah.
And that's because of not being able to be present. So
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
I think that it's the highlight reel. It's the social media. It's I always say this, and everyone listening, like, our parents' generation, Gen Xers, because I don't know your age, but let's say my mom's generation, the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, so her parents and then, my parents' age, so 50s, 60s, 70s, like they grew up in a world where it was keeping up with the Joneses, and the Joneses were next door. There was small, tight-knit communities where there was very strong, depth-oriented connections that were in person. We have now eliminated such a large portion of that. We have companies like Netflix pumping out content where you're now alone in your room watching stuff rather than connecting with real people. You're connecting with characters, but at the end of the show, you're getting those dopamine hits, but at the end of the show, you don't have new friendships. You don't have new characters in your life, right? So it's not it's you're getting the happiness or the joy or the dopamine hits in the moment, but you're not getting the fulfillment of actually building an in-depth. Like,
Yeah,
we're going to feel
yeah.
so fulfilled after this
Oh, yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
The reason is because we've created something real
Right.
that's deeper than this surface level stuff. So you have a world where we're exponentially increasing in technology and connectedness via a virtual device, but it's exponentially decreasing the amount of depth in each interaction. And so I think it's becoming a more and more shallow world. And when you used to have to keep up with the Joneses got a pool, an in-ground pool, like maybe I should do that. This is how we're designed. It's just environmental. This is evolutionary psychology. Who you're around is who you become. We know that. It used to be a tight little neighborhood. Now we're competing with The Rock. Now we're competing with, you want to do what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 11 years ahead of you.
Yep.
Now you are a very unique human in the fact that you see me and get inspired and motivated. A lot of people who would want to be me or want to be doing what I'm doing, I should say, their own unique version
And
of
that's
it,
like I
would get
said-
intimidated and
Yep.
upset by that.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's like I said, dropping the ego. So relating to back in the day.
Yeah, which is a Wednesday, by the way.
Back then. So there were these confined, tight-knit societies, but now we're so immured in this tight-knit culture. And let me explain that. So we really nowadays see this boundary, this cultural boundary, as something we have to stick to. So like the script kind of. A lot of people aren't seeing this way out of it. For instance, like, going through college, getting a job right after 9 to 5. Oh, the dreaded 9 to 5.
Move in, meet a girl, move in,
Exactly.
dog,
Exactly.
house, married,
Right.
kids.
Right. So
Yeah.
a lot of people, I think, are fearing that kind of stuck in the habit of the average person life, and it's just like a conveyor belt, moving closer and closer to your death. So how do you get out of that is jump on another conveyor belt, make your own, build it, and you're going towards your death eventually, but having that sense of urgency that I need to do something now and change the way my life is now rather than later. So that's
Huge.
how I think you have to get out of that kind of
It's only going to get
confined
worse,
mindset.
I think. I
Yeah,
because
for sure.
and that means without some sort of
Yes.
of change. But
Fortunately, there's a lot of people that are doing
For
what
sure.
we're doing, which will hopefully create tribes of people who are also thinking this
think
way.
of it like this: more people have Amazon Prime than people have landlines in their homes. 66% of the country has Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
66%.
Jeff Bezos is
50% of all online sales comes from Amazon.
And you also got to think like what that means. So e-commerce, right? You're in your home, one clicking, and I do this too
Right,
because
me
it's
too.
convenient.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
thing.
a great
It's
thing.
a great thing.
But we're not out shopping, meeting
Right.
people, right? So I think that we're playing a new game by an old blueprint.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yes.
We were wired, and even in school, high schools, middle school, colleges, we were told sit down, shut up.
Right, and
Learn this stuff.
Learn this.
If
Memorize
if you
this.
sit down, shut up in today's economy, goodbye.
screwed.
Yeah.
Screwed. Absolutely screwed. Like, so I want to write a book one day that's called Create Your Own Rule Book. Because I think that you have sort of this rule book that's kind of imposed on you. You're taught like you're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do
Right.
this. You're supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this. Like, but wait, those rules were designed back when the world was completely different.
Right.
20 years ago, the world was more different. The world has basically changed more in the last 20 years than the previous 100.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only increasing exponentially because technology increases at an exponential rate. It's Moore's law. So we have to sort of upgrade our software, our mentality. And that's what you and I are doing.
Right,
and that's why I
right.
think it will start to shift. I think that there's a lot of people out there that are thought leaders
I
that are
think it
trying
will
to have these
eventually,
conversations.
as
yeah,
long
but
as this
we're in the
happens.
thick of the transition. Though.
Right.
The entrepreneurial revolution is upon us. We're going to have so many more. There were more millionaires made, self-made millionaires made last 5 years than in the previous 30 or something like that. And again, don't quote me on that exact
Right,
thing,
right,
but
right.
it was like
Yeah.
5 million millionaires worldwide back when our parents, you and I, Kevin, were our age. Now it's more than doubled that. It's
You
over
know
10
what's
million
crazy is
self-made
people
millionaires.
still see that as something so far-fetched.
Yeah.
Like, I can't understand the fact that
'Cause they don't have
my
mentors.
parents look at me like I'm crazy when I say I'm going to be wealthy.
Yeah, 100%.
It's insane.
There's no chance of me not being wealthy. There's no chance.
What's
As long as you don't die right now,
Yeah.
you know?
It's just a goal. It's just like attaining. I would argue, no bullshit. I would argue that it's more difficult to attain my current physique than it is to become a millionaire. I'm dead serious by that. If you knew the number of hours,
you can get an e-commerce or make an e-commerce website, sell a freaking, like you see on those YouTube videos,
right?
Sell this wolf mug and make $1 million.
I'm not trying to. I want to make sure people realize that it's not going to be easy. But what I want you to realize is neither was getting this body.
Right.
If you want something extraordinary, you cannot do ordinary shit.
Right. And
Period.
you can't tiptoe around the fact that you want it.
Yeah, you have to own it.
If around certain people you like shell up,
Yeah.
and you're like afraid to talk about your dream,
Yeah.
don't, because that's only putting that in your head.
No, don't talk about your dream.
No,
or
don't shell up.
Don't shell up.
Shell up.
Yeah. Okay, good. Talk about
I know,
it.
like I know people that are doing good shit. They're doing really awesome shit, and they're super proud of it. But around certain people, especially family, especially your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents, like you're gonna get judged for what you do. But you're gonna get judged for what you do anyway.
And you're gonna get judged. You're gonna get judged for what you don't do.
So do dope
by
shit.
the way, do dope shit. I just if you're in a place where you're afraid to express your truth. I've wanted to be a self-made millionaire since I was 14 years old. I've been working towards that since I was 14 years old. I was a 1% earner at 24, and I quit that path because I knew that I wasn't on track to do that.
Yeah.
Will it happen for sure? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But what I do know is that I'm committed to that no matter what. I want to be wealthy. Why? Wealth is a tool to help people, to reinvest in my own personal growth, to invest in my family, my family's future, to invest in impacting the world. Kevin, you and I know this. So, Kevin, you made a Instagram post where you put $20 to promote it.
Yeah.
If our goal is to help people, which is the goal, that is the goal, and you put $20 into that post and it gets more people to see and get helped and start thinking this way, and we change their lives or help catalyze that change, obviously they change their own lives, then that wealth was a tool to help others.
Right.
Stop being afraid of wealth. Here's what happens to people, and I'm ranting right now, but this is so important.
Love it.
When you're around people who have an aversion to being fit or have an aversion to wealth, that will rub off on you. You will never attain something that you subconsciously disrespect or don't admire. What you admire, you will become. So you saw me and you admired what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. So now I know you have an infinitely larger chance of becoming it, because you will never act inconsistently with what you don't like. So, for example, I have some friends from home who, every time I talk about fitness, they're like, don't talk about fitness. We don't like fitness. Well, you'll never be fit. If you don't like fitness, you have an aversion to even talking about it, the chances of you being fit are zero.
And it's usually they don't want to talk about it because they don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to be fit.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have extra money.
They're congruent with the fact that their work ethic may not be feasible to attain that. So, for instance, like...
Bring it. He's going to say something real right now.
For instance, a lot of people will kind of, like you said, shell up earlier because they are afraid to hurt their ego. But the first freaking step is to understand that you need to smash that ego, get rid of it, realize that's not helping you go anywhere.
Yeah.
You have to humble yourself and understand you don't know shit.
Yep.
Learn about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Find people that know more than you. And this is all just kind of connecting back to what we said earlier.
Love it.
Find your mentors. Find those people who can help you out, like I did in meeting you guys.
Your ego is your safety net. Your ego is the machine. That's what your ego is. That's why if you, again, the 10-second rule. Every time I'm in the shower for too long, and I learned, I think I take a 5-minute shower. I get through one song on Spotify and I'm out of the shower. But regardless, I just take super quick showers. But I will, if I think I've been in there for too long and I'm just enjoying the water and I know I'm just wasting water, snap my fingers and count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I have never once not gotten out on time.
Right.
I do that when I'm getting out of bed. I do that when I'm making decisions, when I'm supposed to be working and I'm not. Like, you got to trick yourself into becoming the most efficient version of yourself.
Yes, I love the 3-2-1 rule, and that's similar, obviously, just different number of seconds. So, for instance, when you see a pretty girl you want to approach, 3, 2, 1 now.
Do it.
Don't hesitate.
Right.
Same thing with your vision. Why put it off later? Because the more you put it off, the less time you have to actually live that vision.
Right.
And so I have a cold shower analogy that I was talking to you about.
Oh, when we were sparring?
Basically, yes. So when you're in a warm shower, nice and comfortable, you're chilling in there, like you said, more than one song, probably like 30.
Oh, yeah.
You get out, that cold air, or warm room temperature air, sorry.
No, you're good.
Is colder than what you were in because you were comfortable. So now, let's say you went into a cold shower, you suffer through that, nipples are rock hard, you get out, and that room air temperature is warmer and more comfortable because you put yourself through what was hard, and now what was bad or what you thought was bad is now easy.
Super impressed with you, man.
So I got to pee, right?
Yeah.
But remember how we were talking earlier, and I was like, no, we're going to talk about that on the podcast?
Yeah.
I think this would be a good time to get that started because I know a little bit of the backstory, but Omar wants to drop out of college and chase his passions full time. I wanted to hear what you wanted to say. I got to pee. I'm probably going to do a cartwheel when I come back.
He's just going to drop the mic on me like that and leave. Leave the room. So I asked Omar in the preamble whether or not he wanted to, like, what school he was thinking about or if he was thinking about going to school. And Kevin said, wait, because you and I were hitting it off in the preamble. And he's like, I want that for the podcast. So you are currently in school?
Yes, I'm currently at Worcester State.
Okay.
So first year. Man, I've just realized it's not for me. I love learning outside of school. I love learning what I want to learn.
Clearly.
And people say, college is that time. It's really not, man. You are given this set of rules to abide by and all these, like, do this essay. Like, for instance, why the fuck do I need to do an essay on some random topic that is only applicable to school?
Yeah.
Like, you can say that might be closed-minded, but it's really not. Like, I want to start my blog and my own podcast channel.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah.
So being able to have that skill, of course, carries over, but why can't I learn that on my own?
You absolutely can. So this is going to be an awesome conversation because my slogan is literally this: Alan Lazarus LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know.
Yep.
So it's interesting because my client is off in colleges, and it's difficult for me to kind of try to get them to let me come in when I'm kind of against it in a way. Now that said, here's the framework. College is supply and demand, right? When an entire generation of people was told by their Gen X parents to go to college and that you need a degree, all the colleges were filling up with people. There was literally more students than colleges could possibly hold. So most of the colleges, if you notice, are becoming universities. Why? Because the standard of students in undergrad required to become a university is higher. That said, higher education, college, has jacked their... I just messed with the mic. Are we good? We had an incident last time.
No, we're good.
So colleges have been honestly jacking their prices way up.
Right.
Now, here I understand why that is. It's economics. Supply and demand. When you have... And they have to do that because the infrastructure required to bring in more professors, to bring in more buildings, right? It's stimulating the economy, and it's a good thing. But here's what happens. What happens when an entire generation was told they have to go to school to succeed, so they all do it? And then colleges naturally raise their prices. Now we have a whole generation of people, me and Kevin's generation, that are out of college, but everyone has a degree. So now the degree is less valuable. You know how it is. If you give out 8 trophies, number 1 trophy is less valuable, right? So if everyone has a degree and there's fewer and fewer jobs because technology, every business is now able to do more with less. As technology increases exponentially and our population also increases exponentially, automation increases exponentially. So there's less jobs with more people. So this is why I do what I do. This is why I've created a platform to empower people to start their own businesses, because we are in the entrepreneurial revolution for sure. This is the age where the dinosaurs are dying out and the smaller sole proprietor entrepreneurs are going to flourish. It's happening at an exponential rate. And by the time it's noticeable for most people, it'll be too late for them. And I don't mean too late. It's never really too late, but it'll be like, oh shit, I missed a decade of like, wow, I should have been on this train. Yep. You are in it. You're going to kill it. Okay. You're self-motivated. You're self-disciplined. And that's why you hate school, by the way, because they tell you have to do this, and you have what I call a healthy aversion to authority. Now that said,
Just a boss, dude.
Yeah, you are. You're absolutely killing it. That said,
Humble, too.
People who are in college, I wouldn't give up my college experience for anything. Here's why. The social aspects, the people that I met, and the network. I did a really good job in high school. I was, quote-unquote, one of the smart kids, and then I went to WPI, and I was like, oh, I'm not smart at all. Wow. So college provided an opportunity for me to get into an environment where I was humbled and where I learned a ton, and it created, I mean, I literally can tell you that every single person that I graduated from WPI with who was my close friend, which there's so many, are all wildly successful.
Popular kid.
Why? Because, well,
Look at you.
thank you. Thank you, brother. They're all wildly successful. Why? Right. Because ships in the same harbor rise and fall together. So now my network allows me to have a safety net of, like, my buddy Manu, for example. He has 7 people underneath him. He's making tons of money for DraftKings, and his job and his team's job is literally to automate and do more with less. So when you have a network of people who know how hardworking you are, know who you are, that can hire you, that's important. So here's the thing. College, for learning and for the content, I honestly don't think it's worth it. I think you're better off learning from people like Brendan Burchard or Darren Hardy or Tony Robbins or me, or there's online training programs on there where the content is way better than colleges.
Exactly. And I think online school will start to, as people kind of wake up and realize, online schooling will start to rise indefinitely.
Yes. Yep.
You're watching this 10 years later, come back to me, I'm right.
Yeah, no, it's 100%.
Joe Rogan said
that's
today.
part of the, he did.
Yeah.
Love
He's
it.
like, why are we still going to buildings?
Oh my God.
Yeah, in general.
He's like, you drive in traffic, like, why?
I know.
You have the internet, you can do anything on it.
Right.
I asked my mentor, he actually wanted me to keep him anonymous for this, but he's the CEO of several large companies that he's turned around, next level human. I asked him, I'm like, do you think the office building thing is, like, gone in the next 10 to 20 years? Fascinating conversation. We talked about flying cars, self-driving cars, all that stuff. The thing I want to get across to everyone is, like, I wouldn't give up my college experience for anything. When it comes to content and learning, that's all you. Self-education is way more powerful.
It's just about the will.
Yeah.
You can go out there and learn anything if you really want to.
Jim Rohn quote, an education will get you a job. Self-education will make you a fortune. Become a student of the game, get mentors. You're going to learn way more than college could ever teach you. Sure. That said, college was a blast. Just, if you are going to pay for college, make sure you do it for the right reasons. You are there to learn. Make sure you pick the right major. Make sure you're self-educating yourself, and make sure you surround yourself with the best people. WPI was one of the best decisions I ever made. Not because the professors were better, not because it was a tier 1 technical institution, one of the top in the world. No, because of the people. The people that school attracted were next level intelligent.
Yeah.
And sharp minds sharpen one another. So as long as you're getting in the right environments outside of college, then you don't need it.
So that's actually the one thing that I was hesitant to drop out. I mean, that sole reason of losing that social aspect in that network. But then I was like, all right, look at me. Like, who the fuck am I? I can go out and talk to anyone. It doesn't matter. I'm going to meet people anywhere. Like,
not everyone's like that, though. That's why I wanted to make sure. Yeah. If you're introverted, stay in college.
Yeah. Facts. This isn't for everyone. And I'm really, like, people are probably listening to this like, this kid is an idiot. He's 18, immature, doesn't know what he's doing. But listen, like, that's what you think because you are confined to those cultural normalities. And that's what your parents have always told you. That's what your friends have always told you. Dude, let's not stick to the script. Let's write our own.
Right.
I can tell you as an investor, like, I meet a lot of people, and as an 18-year-old, Warren Buffett has that thing, right? If you're in a room, who would you invest in? If you could have 10% of their money for the rest of their life, who would you put money on? It better be you. If it's not, figure out why that is and make sure it's you. You're 18. I can tell you right now, you're going to be wildly successful, with or without college. Not everyone's in that place. And so I've met other people your age where I would say definitely go to college because the social stuff that you need, business is about people.
Right.
When I was in engineering school, I was honestly struggling in electrical and computer engineering to get good grades. Struggling. And I'm smart, But some of these kids are geniuses. They'd walk in, get hundreds, they'd walk out. I was struggling, and I thought I would suffer in corporate America. I didn't suffer at all. Here's why. I can communicate. I can talk marketing, I can talk business, I can talk engineering because I'm around a bunch of engineers. And that's the most valuable thing in business. Business is about people. Every business has people in it. Every business has customers that are people. Understand people and you win the game. You are good with people. If you're not good with people, go to college.
That's a great... So last night I was on YouTube. I don't know what I was doing, but I came across this video that said this young kid did a bunch of editing for Summer Rae. You know Summer Rae, she's the wildly successful Instagram.
Right. Yes.
And he didn't get paid. They didn't pay him for the work he did. And he put a post up about it, nothing disrespectful, said, I'm not trying to get anybody to talk shit to her. Don't hit her up with hate. I'm just trying to get this problem solved. They ended up getting the problem solved. But the beautiful thing was, he had a bunch of comments in the second video for people offering him jobs because of the way he handled himself in that situation.
Love it.
Giant YouTube channel saying, we are willing to pay you giant sums of money to do our videos because you're a good person and you seem like you have your head on right.
Yeah, I think honestly what it comes down to is the social skills. And I realized I had this pretty early on. I realized that, I freaking suck at school. I go in there and I'm like, I just get things wrong for like weird reasons. And it may not even be because I don't really understand it. I'm just not a good test taker. And that's just not me.
Yeah.
And so I realize I'm good with people. I know how to put people together. I know how to make friendships, good relations. So that skill is just, it's going to go with me for the rest of my life. And that's kind of what I just rely on. And like,
well, you know your strengths.
I know my strengths. I accept my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I may not be book smart. I will get better at that.
Leverage your
but
strengths.
It's not about just memorizing and being able to regurgitate something back onto a piece of paper.
Execution is the game, man.
Yeah.
If you can execute on your vision every single day in and day out, put in the reps, that's what's going to win.
There's two choices every day. Do the best you can or do the lesser.
The lesser.
If you just pick the best you can in every situation,
every day,
every situation, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like go grocery shopping and meal prep or don't.
Yeah.
go grocery shopping and meal prep, right?
Yeah.
Pay that bill early or ask that girl. Just if you do that, that is how you evolve as a human by constantly just doing a little more.
In each of those moments, it doesn't seem like a big deal.
No.
But those baby steps add up to huge results.
For sure.
How do we get people to prioritize, like what you just said, like meal prep or not? I'm reading a book right now called High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. I was actually listening to it on my way to your place, Kevin, before this podcast. Amazing. Shout out to you, Brendan. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. In that, he says the biggest problem for high performers is making sure the main thing stays the main thing. Basically not getting distracted. Tom Brady, all he does is football. That's it. What do you know? He's the best in the world.
Right.
30 years into it. So how do we get people to prioritize those little things you're talking about, Kevin? Because I think people inherently know that. They know, like, oh, I'm supposed to meal prep.
Right.
But, like, what if there's something more important? Right? So what's your take on that?
What would be more important in that situation?
It depends. Like, okay, this podcast. Like, if I could meal prep tonight versus coming and podcasting with Omar, I would prioritize this.
Make do for tonight and then figure it out tomorrow. Make sure you do it tomorrow.
Okay, word.
The thing, somebody reached out to me today and said, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. And I said, when you go to sleep tonight, think about what you want to wake up to tomorrow. Like, what would your dream day consist of tomorrow?
Oh, I love that.
And I don't mean you don't get to drive a moped around all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drinking margaritas. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Which, by the way, would get old.
Yeah. Well, I think that'd be awesome. She said that I would like to go somewhere where it's warm, blah, 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 but that's super unrealistic. And I said the only way that's ever unrealistic is if you do not think you can make it real. That's the only way it's unrealistic. You can monetize anything.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yep.
You'll definitely love the podcast
with Terrence.
With Terrence. He's so many valuable lessons. But,
yeah.
And one of
my mentors, Terrence. He's next level.
If a lot of people don't think you're crazy for what you're doing, then you're probably like if people think you're crazy,
it's probably
you're
too
good.
small of a goal. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
that's certain. I mean, I know. Like, I have people constantly telling me like that's insane. Why would you do that? But hey, try it.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Dude, they'll find out one day.
Yeah, and then make your assessment. Because if you're trying to put certainty into the future and say, oh, it's not happening or whatever, That's your opinion.
Yeah.
That's a belief. That's not a truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a truth. Oh, that's key.
Right. As far as getting people to know, like, how do you get somebody to do the necessary steps to be better? I think we always say that you prove that it is better on the other side.
Yeah.
Which we're trying to do. We do live. This isn't
Just
a show.
talk. Yeah.
This is a life.
This is a life.
This is my life.
Yeah,
this is
exactly.
your life.
Yep.
Clearly, this is your life.
Yeah.
We were throwing punches at each other the other day talking about life and talking about
Yep.
suicide and dark tunnels and
Yep.
how to get out of this and how to get out of that. I think you have to realize that if you have a dream life, if you just start making little steps, just little steps,
Yep.
it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow and just go all in right this second.
Yeah.
Start gaining knowledge about what you want.
Yep.
The more uncomfortable you get, the more comfortable you get with the fact that it's uncomfortable.
Ooh.
And there's a giant
That was
That was
legit.
good.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
deep.
but there's a big difference because
That's gonna be a teaser clip.
that if my computer will fucking work.
Yeah.
That's where it's so hard because hanging out with you two, hanging out with the dream team, Matt and Tom and
Yep.
Nate, all those people, they understand, they get it.
Yeah.
But it's the direct opposite. Like when you go back to your hometown or you're with people who haven't seen you in a long time, it's like, oh, what are
fascinating.
you doing?
Yeah.
And the first thing I say is like, I'm just like chasing my dreams.
Yeah.
Chasing my dreams. People don't get that.
Here's something really fascinating that I've never talked about on the podcast. I was an electrical and computer engineer in undergrad. Whenever I said that to people, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" You know, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm an electrical engineer." They would perk right up. They'd be like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
really?"
Right.
Like now, when people ask me what I do, like sometimes they're excited, but
Because
most
you
of
did
the time,
something that makes sense in society. It
Yeah.
fits their
It
figure.
fit- it fits- yeah.
They understand
Yeah.
that. They can grasp it.
And
Right.
it has a direct money correlation too.
Exactly. People
that's a lot
associate.
of money.
Yeah, exactly. People,
for you.
people associate engineer with. But the thing is that's weird. Is my mentors would be like, "Oh, you're not going to stay as an engineer."
Right.
You know what I mean? The people
Yeah.
who know better are the ones who are like, "Yo, you shouldn't."
Did you always have that mindset?
What do you
I
mean?
feel like if I had to guess, you always had this mindset.
I think maybe it was always underlying. I certainly know, like, people have activated it, like my mentors, my best friends. They've certainly, came into my life and allowed me to just see it for myself.
Uncover what was already
Right,
there and
right.
spark
just
it.
peel
yeah.
the onion.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Same for you. I feel like
Yeah.
you have always been super confident.
Thank you.
Is that right though? I would say for the most part, right?
I think I've had moments of insecurity where the best way I can articulate this
when
is
was the moment where you were like, "Oh shit, no, I can do this for sure. Absolutely 100%, zero doubt in my mind, I can actually do this."
Ooh. Oh man, that's such a hard question.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was recent, like a year ago.
Interesting. So I call it, Wayne Dyer calls it self-actualizing individuals, and this is the best way I've ever heard it articulated because it resonated with who I know I am. Self-actualizing individuals never question whether or not they can do something. They only question whether or not they want to. So for me, I need to really fucking want it.
Right.
When I do, I know I can do it.
That's the thing with school, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That's why you
literally-
suck at school,
Oh my
by the way.
god, that's
Yep.
why I suck. I cannot.
It's the
go
only
home
reason.
and
Yeah.
study like freaking molecular biology, dude.
When
I
you
don't wanna
don't
do
care.
that shit.
Yeah.
I don't care,
Dude,
I
have
would
this-
rather learn how to start my own business and understand what I need to do. Like,
One of my mentors, and he again wants to remain anonymous
gonna be
until
frustrating.
he's more retired. But this is the CEO. He resonates a lot with this kind of stuff. This is a colder quote, but I think it's hilarious, and I've been saying it my whole life. I find it difficult to remember shit I don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
that
You know
is
what I
very
mean?
true.
Like, if I don't, that's why I think in school a lot of kids suffer. They don't link up like what this is going to get them. If you don't know the promise, why would you pay the price today? Like, I think that's what mentors can do for us. If you don't have any self-made millionaire mentors, like, it's hard for you to link up like, oh, I could do this too.
Right.
And therefore you won't.
Right. You ever heard the term shoot for the moon and if you miss, you're still amongst the stars?
Yeah.
Have you heard that? I feel like so many people are like, I don't want to do any of that. I'm going to hang out here in the grass because that's where everybody else is. And like, we talk about like getting into a shitty, long relationship where like everything gets thrown off and you're unhappy.
Yeah.
But that's by default. Like
Yeah.
if you don't know business, if you don't know what your dream is, if you don't have the passion or the heart to chase your dreams, you're willing to just come down here by default because that's where everybody else ends up.
Well, if you don't know any better, that's kind of why I love this podcast. That's why I want to be a professional speaker, because I want to show people, like, you can totally do this.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, like, whatever it is. Like, and I want to really show them the path as well. Like, not only the destination, but, like, there's a path.
For sure.
Especially with fitness, like the 5 fundamental pillars of natural fitness. Like, if you do these 5 things every day, you will be naturally fit for life.
Right.
There's a fact. Hydration, sleep, nutrition, training, and mobility. Obviously, I can go in depth in all 5, and I will. But if you do all 5 of those every day, you will be in shape.
Right.
And people will go, how the hell? Every time you walk into a room, people will go, Jesus.
Right.
And you'd be a reminder to them of, like, wow, I want to be in shape too. Or, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes.
I want to talk about bullying with you. You said you were bullied when you were younger.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Is that
Mean
doable?
No. I think this is key. This is good.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
this is
No,
good.
I think, dude, I'll be honest. I'm glad I got bullied. Like,
I want to know why you said that, because I also
you agree
understand. I want to. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do agree with that.
I think if I was to never have been bullied, I would have never. And I did the bullying after I got bullied, because if I never got bullied, I would have not understood the true feeling of it, and I wouldn't have had the empathy that I do now. And this empathy is what basically is what finding it.
No, you're good.
No, keep
The
it up,
empathy that I have now is what allows me to continue to strive and want to help people.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pass that on, that kind of gift of knowledge or gift of betterment.
Yeah.
And, I know what it was like during my weakest times, when I wanted to commit suicide, and having that struggle kind of buried deep in my emotional body, it acts as a soul driver. Like, I don't want to have people ever have that. But having that is a motivator.
Yeah. Have you ever heard the phrase, John C. Maxwell quote? He said, if we want to fix a broken world, first we have to have a broken heart.
Yeah.
Because that's the fire.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm so glad that you mentioned that you're glad you were bullied is because your adversity is your advantage. I have been studying people consciously for the last 4 years, but my whole life unconsciously. And all of the dream team and beyond, my mentors, people that are really shooting for the stars, they have this really, really deep-rooted insecurity in something. And I'm not going to name any names, but I do too. And I do believe wholeheartedly that your deepest pain can become your greatest strength. If you take it, harness it. Fitness is a great example. A lot of people start a fitness journey because they got made fun of.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were made fun of for being fat or overweight or whatever. And I'm not saying go do that to people, okay? But what I do want people to realize is that pain is going to move you into action, or you're going to shell up. The people who take action. I was 160 pounds, skinny fat, drank way too much booze. You would not have admired me back then. And I had value for sure, but like my physique not there. My health was being taken for granted, which is a huge mistake. I think that I had the pain, I call it post-traumatic growth. I had the pain of a car accident. I also got jumped. A lot of people know that story. I'll tell it another time because it's long. But you got bullied, and I would argue that you went through a form of post-traumatic growth. We talk a lot about PTSD,
Yeah.
which is true too, very real. That's the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the light and the dark,
Yes.
right? So, but the light is that thing inside of you that's like never a fucking again.
Right.
I'm not letting this happen ever again.
Yep.
And that is the most powerful shit in the world.
But before that happened, before the growth happened, so I let my ego kind of take over. And so I would bully people who were weaker than me. I was a weak motherfucker. If you saw me back in the day, I was skinny fat. I was insecure about myself. But yeah, so I kind of flipped that pain body on others to feel better about myself.
Ooh, yeah.
And now I'm at that point where, like, and I'm glad I realized this, when I was still in grade school, but I found fitness as my kind of release and to build my character, build my confidence, and that becomes that way of dealing with it. So
now you want to lift others up.
Exactly.
It's
and
huge,
that's why
man.
I love fitness, because it's such a simple way to do that.
Yeah. Tony Robbins always says it. He says there's 2 ways to have the tallest building in town. You knock everyone else's building down, or you build something. Building something's way harder.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's worth it.
It's worth it. And honestly, leadership is predicated on lifting others up. Like, especially in the 21st century. Like, leadership used to be like, oh, I'm in a boardroom, and I'm going to tell people how to do their job, and then they're going to delegate down through all the managers, and everyone's just going to do what I say, make sure the pawns are in the right place for the chessboard to win the game. It's not like that anymore.
No.
Now leadership is predicated on your ability to create other leaders. Our dream team does that all the time.
Absolutely.
You, Nate, Matt, I could go on and on. I think that being a leader is going to create other leaders. And I wanted to say this earlier because a lot of this conversation is predicated on being your best self, personal development, and seeing someone your age who's into this is going to really spark some shit in people.
Oh, for sure.
You're not helping anyone by being less. Mark Twain quote, "The best way to help a poor person is not to be one of them."
Right.
Okay? If you have no money, you have nothing to give. If you have no self-esteem, you have nothing to give. If you have no love for yourself, you have nothing to give. And it's huge, man, that you took something that happened to you that was painful. Bullying does perpetuate bullying, so I understand what you went through, and hopefully that other person also lifted through that, and maybe you could reach out at some point. I know that I want to reach out to someone in particular that I bullied. Josh Betancourt, I will try to find you and reach out and apologize, because he's the only person I've ever bullied, and I feel terrible. And I'm fortunate to have gone through that phase very quickly, realized that's not me, that's not my best self, and this was back in Taft Elementary School. I think it was like 4th grade or something like that. But anyways, you're not helping anyone by being less. And if you can do it at 18 and you're just getting started, anyone can, but not everyone will. Get around the people that can, and that people that want it, and the people that are putting in the reps.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like, cutting those people out of your life who are holding you back. It's like playing tug of war. I mean, you're gonna have those strings attached, pulling you back, and they're giving you those dopamine spikes.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So they're giving you comfort. But you
Come drink a 30 rack.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
It'll be awesome.
Wake up in the morning with your underwear on your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I?
What, Kevin?
But then you're
Typical
waking up
Saturday.
and your head's hurting, and you're like, why the fuck did I do that?
Why did I do that?
I mean, realize that you got to go through that pain of actually cutting people off. And it may sound harsh, but it's necessary for your growth and for their betterment, because when they see that you're improving,
They'll want to come with.
Exactly, and that that they're holding you back, they're going to look at you, and like you said earlier, it's about having less casualties, because being the casualty doesn't aid the situation.
Ooh.
So being the part of the sheep
Omar's woke.
doesn't.
He's killing it. He's killing
third
it. man.
eye.
Woke
He
AF.
told me this was going to be next level podcast. I'm very
I
happy
know
with
things.
this.
Omar.
You
I
do.
know things. I got a question for you. Job interview question
Yes.
time. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
So
Not
I've
in
actually
college.
wrote this down.
Word.
By 21, I want to be miles ahead of where I would have been if I went to college. And that means 6-figure salary plus.
Nice.
That means I want to be traveling the world for sure.
Yeah.
Me and my team.
Yeah.
I want to. I'm not trying to reveal too much, but I want to have set in stone my own entrepreneurial path to the point where I will never have to sign another contract to work at a job for someone else.
Good
I
for
will
you.
never ever want to be called an employee, never have a boss. I'm my
Financial
own
freedom.
boss. That's my
Bound by nothing.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
So,
dope.
Great
yeah,
question.
5 years, definitely financial freedom, definitely helping other people out.
Yoked.
Yeah.
Yoked. Yeah. you gotta be yoked.
Oh yeah.
Gotta
Yoked,
be yoked.
shredded out of my mind.
I remember when we sat down with Nate and Pat. Was it Pat that was like, I just want to be the most yoked I can possibly be?
No, so first it was like, I want to be as big as I possibly
Yeah.
can. And then Nate said something about being like lean too. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but I also want to be like,
I'm just want to be the
Yeah.
most yoked. And I
the
was like,
most
you know what?
yoked and the
All right,
most
cool.
big. And yeah.
Yeah.
your-
I want
do your
people
thing, dog.
to grate cheese on my abs.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah,
love
that's,
it.
That's good.
It's inspiring to, if you go to the beach and you are ridiculously out of shape, like you're not inspiring anybody. If you aspire to inspire and be a leader, you really do have to have the result. You have to have the thing. So I think that's huge, man.
We're
Awesome.
running out of time, so what
We are.
else you got?
So I want to say something
Oh,
else.
shit.
Is being on that beach, you don't want to be the most jacked person, and if you are, find another beach where there are
No,
other people.
I want to be
who
the
are
most
jacked.
jacked.
All right.
If
Just
you're
give
the
me this one.
Well,
Just give me this one time.
I mean, maybe you can go on there once and
80-20.
admire yourself,
Yeah, don't hang
feel
out
it
there.
out, but don't hang out too long
Yep.
because that's where you become
Complacent.
We could
Or
use
complacent, sorry.
a great boxing reference. Like
Yeah.
you and I are competitive when we spar.
Yeah, for sure.
If I was beating the shit out of you every time, and I just came in here and sparred with you because you were an easy match, and then I went and fought Floyd Mayweather, what would happen?
Yeah,
I
you'd
get my fucking head knocked off.
And that's life.
That's life. Like you got to prepare yourself for the highest level of everything. And if you're not putting yourself out there and trying and failing, especially failing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you're failing and it's controlled, like in a fail forward
Fail
sense,
forward,
then you're on the right track. Just don't quit when you do.
I have the fear of not succeeding.
You do. Let it drive you, brother.
Right.
You will succeed. You will succeed.
Fear is
Love to fail.
a strong motivator.
It's huge.
Fear is a strong motivator.
Huge.
You got anything?
So I did have a couple questions that I always love to ask.
Hammer.
One of them is, and I think I know the answer, but what is your favorite book? And why?
Ooh.
Most importantly,
So
why?
I actually just read The Power of Now, and
yes.
oh my god,
Yeah. Eckhart Tolle.
yeah, I felt my third eye just like peel.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
Then there's this other book called The Human Touch, which I don't know many people who know that book by
don't.
Michael Frayn, I believe.
Ooh, he got
I
me.
have to reread so many lines and just like, oh my god, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I still don't really fully comprehend it, and that's a book I'll definitely read over and over.
Love it.
But so that book is actually more philosophical, just like
Okay.
you know.
You would like Alan Watts. I started
Alan
listening
Watts.
to him. Vinny DeGeorge recommended Alan Watts on YouTube.
Vinny DeGeorge, shout out to him, is a psycho.
He's awesome.
Like his Snapchats, he's just like, I love it. He just does whatever he wants.
What did he say in the squatting? He said balls to China.
Yeah, balls to China.
Yeah, dude, he's
that?
hilarious.
Like ass to grass,
Yeah,
except balls
Well,
to
people
China.
always used to be, oh, I'm gonna dig a underground trench. China.
Yeah.
Is that where that
Yeah.
comes?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the second thing
sicko.
is, who are your heroes and why?
Who are my heroes? I'm my own fucking hero.
Love
Whoa.
it. Love it.
Love it.
The hero
I-
of your own story, as they say.
I mean,
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I really can't give you an answer being another person. I think you're always your own hero.
Ooh,
Word. Be your own Superman, man.
be your own Superman. Love
Even
it.
if you're a woman, we're not discriminating.
No,
be
no,
your
no,
own
of
Superwoman.
course. Yeah, Superwoman, Superman.
So, yeah. I had something to say, but if you got any more questions.
As my
whatever.
grandmother would say, if you forgot, it was probably a lie. That's what she always says. Yeah.
Call me a liar?
Well, I'm
I take
not-
pride in all
my grandmother
words.
Memes.
Oh,
memes.
shit.
Joan James.
You think
on-
I can
I
fight?
gotta get in the sparring ring with you. With your
She would put
grandma.
you down.
Oh, shit.
Is there anything you want to plug? Any, like, your whatever, various websites or whatever?
Oh, Omar starts with it, so it's 0M_ART. That's my Instagram,
Yes.
and then same thing 0M_fit. That's my fitness.
Yeah,
page.
a
Love
regular
it.
photographer. I like your pictures, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying
Killing
to get
it.
better with that.
You got some dope ass pictures.
You are well on your way, my friend. I'm very impressed. Happy to make an ally out of you. And
Your last name. We didn't say the last name in the beginning,
Oh yeah, so
so people can look you up on whatever Facebook. I don't. Whatever they're going to look you up on.
which is all of your new resumes, by the way.
Yes.
Keep your online profiles clean. I applied to a job with Darren Hardy, and they checked everything. Just remember, from now on, that's your resume. Keep going, sorry.
So my full name is Omar Nassri. My last name actually means my victory, and I always thought that was so cool because I'm literally destined to do something great.
Yes.
I think
Destined.
everyone is, but
Yes.
just the fact that it's in my name is like that other
Yes.
motivator. So yeah,
Love it.
Fuck yeah.
Love it. Believe in yourself. Kevin, what do you want to end with?
Sometimes chicken nuggets are actually better than chicken because they're crispy.
Okay. Word.
Thoughts?
yeah. But did you ever feel like they were just like too soggy? Like they
Oh no, you put them. You got to turn the broiler on, son.
what?
Broiler. You know what that is? How old are you? You're 18. You know what the broiler
Dude,
is?
I know what the broiler is.
I'm just saying, man. If
Got
you
some
ain't
sass
broiling
going on here.
Anything
Maybe you
put in
guys
the
should
oven, you gotta
spar
finish.
after this.
Anything.
We should.
I got these.
I'm down.
I got
I'm
my
in
boat
boots.
shoes on.
I am for friendly competition. It makes everybody better. Keyword friendly.
Yes.
Oh,
we
yeah.
are super friendly.
But I, at the same time, believe that an over-competitive nature is, in a sense, egotistic.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is another thing: is you don't want to ever have your ego in front of the things you do. So if you are just trying to compete with someone to fulfill that prophecy, you're not wholeheartedly doing it.
But if the goal is to get better.
If the goal is to get better, I feel like you wouldn't be doing it with your ego.
Oh, yeah, no. I agree.
Putting your pride aside and
that's my point.
And doing it genuinely.
Absolutely.
I have a question for Omar. Actually, a quick question. What do you think the number one indicator of someone being successful is?
Yeah. Like, how do you know whether
That's
to bet
a
on
great question.
someone?
I'll be honest, I've been trying to figure that out because even when I kind of see my vision coming together, I say to myself, like, all right, there are these great people out there who, after they've attained this wealth, they've said that they're not fulfilled. So what am I going to do? What
differently
precautions am I going to do to obviously have that fulfillment? And I've really just been trying to figure that out. And I think it's that inner peace, understanding what is this?
The top 5 regrets of the dying. That is how you have fulfillment along the journey.
I like this.
Alan pulls candy out of his pocket and tries to lure a
I have
child
that in my
into his
pocket. I have that in my pocket at all times. The top 5 regrets of the dying. This is how to live, because my biggest fear was to reach the top of the mountain unfulfilled alone.
Right.
So that's...
And so I think to all of these, definitely a catalyst is wealth, though, is financial freedom. Because, I mean, the world we live in is obviously filled with money. Yeah. Money's great, but can't be your only
if in the
thing.
right hands, and if you're going to do what you say you're going to do with it.
Such an abundant world.
It is an abundant world.
Um,
Let's have abundant mindsets.
Yeah, that's where it has to start. Yeah. That's where it has to start.
Oh yeah, here's another thing: is never be. Here's another thing: is never be scarce with your. How do I say this? Your energy. Like, people are always trying to win alone. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah,
we're always trying to. So I know you guys as extroverted people, and you're always seemingly trying to, and actually trying to help others at the same time.
Yes,
and that's what picks you up.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a win-win.
Inevitably, it is a win-win, and that's what it's really about. It's not just about doing this by yourself.
Oh, of course not.
That's egotistical,
and that's a lonely road anyway.
Hard,
so figure out who wants to be on your ship, and even if you are kind of guiding the way, and people's ships are in your wake or whatever it is, like, that's fine. Ebbs and flows, highs and lows, but like, you definitely want to create a team, a tribe, something that you care about so much.
Yeah,
I'm so blessed
mud,
for the people in my life.
Yeah. You play in the mud, you want to have people to do it with. Like, this shit gets hard.
Yeah, it does.
It's worth it.
Your network is also your net worth.
Fact. Right. So true.
All right, ladies and gents, we're going to sign off. I'm freezing. Am I the only one who's freezing?
My nipples are
hard.
right.
My nipples are right through my shirt. Alan, what about you?
I'm feeling pretty good over here.
Show us your nips.
Feeling pretty good over here. Jenny B says that I have sad nipples.
Okay, on that note, we are going to happily sign off. Ladies and gents, thanks for joining us. Omar,
all right.
Pound it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So good, brother. So good.
We will talk to you guys later.
Take care.